Can you hear when the hairs on my chin are rubbing against the screen?
Please don't do that.
I know, that's why I keep backing up. Because I get close and then my mouth isn't touching it, but the hairs on my chin are touching it. I'm like backing up.
Did you just back up again?
Yeah.
Because I saw, like I'm for the audience out there, I'm looking at the waveforms. And, I see yours almost maxing out and then getting smaller and smaller and smaller. And I'm like, oh, that's going to be a pain to edit. Because this is all I'm concerned about in life is, how easy this is on me. How much time I'm going to have to spend on that.
That's right. I'll just keep messing with you by going, just by moving my head.
Oh, that was a really great but unintentional segue into what we're talking about, which is kind of a time management topic. But first of all, thank you for joining us. It's Covered, the Insurance Podcast, because if you think that insurance is boring, then you are not doing it correctly. I am Paul.
I'm Melvin. Nice to be here.
We're going to talk about time today. So this is something that's been bouncing around my head for a while, and I feel bad because I don't quite remember where this came from.
I think it comes from people who actually put the toilet paper on the roll and people who set it on top of the roll.
That's good time management right there. You gotta weigh out how much time does it take to put it on the roll versus how much time does it take to fumble with it every time you go to the can.
Exactly. There's time management and perceived time management. Putting the roll on top is not time management. Even though you may think, hey, I just had to put it up there. It was really quick. No, that's perceived time management.
Right. Yeah. Well, I got thinking about this concept a few months ago, and I heard it from somewhere. If I heard it from you, please let me know. I listen to a lot of stuff and read a lot, but kind of the idea of having an idea of what your time is worth. And I've always been the guy to do it myself. I like doing stuff myself. The logo for the podcast was done in house. I enjoy doing stuff like that, but the challenge presented to me was, how much is my time worth? And is it worthwhile to do these things just because you can do them? And I can trace it back to my college economics class when I first heard, and this is a classic, for those of you who are in economics and enjoy economics, y'all know this example of say you have an attorney, and the attorney has a secretary, and the secretary types 60 words a minute, and the attorney types 90 words a minute. Who should type out the letters and stuff? Well, the secretary should. And it's not because the lawyer can't do it. The lawyer can do it. But there's a lot of stuff that the lawyer should be doing that is going to bring in money that the secretary cannot do. And this is applied in macroeconomics, for like concepts like, buying American and stuff like that, and American made and that sort of thing. And the question is not, can we make tennis shoes and shirts? It's, should we be spending our time on other things that other countries cannot do? And that's a debate for a different time. I did not mean to bring that up as a debate point, but it kind of gets back to, how much is your time worth versus can you actually do something?
Yeah, I think that's something that can spill over into a bunch of different areas, just like you gave that example. And there's examples all throughout your life. You may just not notice it, but, to figure out how you perceive things, will really help in you organizing the things you want to organize and get more time out of.
Right. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And I was thinking about this, and this is kind of a weird example, but, there's a tollway that's on my way home from work. And I would always ride on the road beside the tollway because I'm cheap. And I finally started on a long drive. I didn't like get out a piece of paper and calculate this, but I was calculating in my head how much the tolls were versus how much time it saved.
And that is time saved not traveling the speed limit on those feeder roads.
Right. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Stopping at the light, at all the lights versus just blowing past them at 70 miles per hour. and the time save was significant and the amount it cost was negligible. And so despite being a cheapskate, I'm like, wait, this isn't worth my time. And so I started using the tollways. And so that's a really silly example, but I was really bored on that drive and this is what I was thinking about. But I think especially the agents out there, this is a worthwhile exercise for us to see what is worth our time and what is not. And there's a number of ways that this can, and by the way, this changes, right? Like Mel, when you and I started, everything was worth our time.
Right. If you called in and needed directions, that was worth our time because you may come back and get insurance sometime in the next lifetime.
Yeah, absolutely. And, we made a lot more house calls there for very small policies. It was just get things through the door. As time went on and we grew, we really started having to weigh stuff. Like, I mean, from your point of view, is we have all got numbers we want to hit for the month. And, when we first started, if we had a renter's policy, that was, $300 a year. And we were having trouble getting a hold of that person, that to finally sign him up. You might chase that thing for a while.
Yeah. And if you're, doing, upwards of, 200 and 250 items, each month, then you may tend to, think your time's more valuable, used elsewhere, not go after that small item. Right.
Yeah, exactly. We had one guy and he had a single car auto with us. That's all he had. Now, he's not with us. He's not with us anymore, but the story will tell you why. But this guy, and his car broke down. And so we suspended coverage on his car. So the policy was still active, but it was very, very cheap. It just had comprehensive on it. And this guy liked to call and argue about every little thing. And just like, over pennies. And that's, I think that was the first time that I really sat down and said, it's like, this is how much I'm making off this man. And this is how much in manpower hours that he's wasting. Is this worthwhile to keep? And it was not. His policy was seriously like, at that point, like $100. And so, I was making like 10 off of him. And he was just burning up, our office's time. And that was the first time I really sat down and was like, this isn't worthwhile. This guy needs to go somewhere else. And I think that's for a lot of us, that's a healthy practice for us to get into and one I still struggle with.
Yeah, I think, and especially, everyone is important and you're going to help everyone that comes through the door, as much as you can. But if someone needs a lot of help with a lot of items, then just by the sheer size of what they're needing help with, should, dictate the time that, they need and deserve. If someone is bringing something small, the same attention should be there, but the time, that demands is not there.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And I've run across some agents who are like, no, my time is worth this much. And so if you go over like 2 hours of my time, I'm dumping you. And I certainly, I'm not advocating that, it's like, sometimes the circumstance for a customer, even though they're a good customer, might require some more time, and you just decide to do that, and spend that kind of time with them. But I think a lot of us are spending time, especially chasing people, that if we sat down and calculated it out and realized, I could use those hours to do something else and actually make more money at it, that'd probably be a healthy exercise for us.
Yeah, I think that'd be really good. It's, with my home life, I have kids. So if one of my kids says, Dad, can you help me with my homework? I'm really trying to get my grades up and I'm having a little trouble with this. Then they get allotted a lot of time. And if one of my other kids complains and says, Dad, how come you never look at my Snapchat photos for that long? Then I will have to explain this concept to them.
Because I don't care, kid. Like, go get me beer.
That's right.
That walk to the kitchen is not worth my time.
Yeah. Usually it just takes a look and a really.
Oh yeah. My kids do not have Snapchat yet. So,
hopefully it'll be a fad that fades away by the time your kids get there.
Oh, probably, for sure. Yeah. So right now it's just, hey, look at the princess dress. But yeah, that's good. As we were talking about this topic, it kind of reminded us of a friend of ours, who no longer works with us, but remains a friend of ours, struggle with one customer who just was not good at email and, needed a little hand holding along the way. And it was the end of the month and we were trying to reel them in. It was the end of the month and we needed just a little bit to hit our numbers. And so I told this friend of ours to go to their home, sit down at the dinner table with them and get the sale. And he did. And that was probably a mistake because how many times did they want him to come out to their house after that?
Oh, after that, I mean, you would think that, they couldn't tie their shoes after that. They needed him, but,
it was just like they didn't have one thing when he went over there the first time. And so they wanted him to come back to do something else. And they, wanted him back for this particular form that, that they didn't sign at the beginning and they wanted him back to discuss, basically every discussion started becoming a house call. And, he went like once or twice after that, but I was trying to shut it down right away, cause it was just, they were becoming such an incredible drain of time that, it's really nice to have, to have people give you house calls, right? I mean, that'd be awesome if everybody I dealt with stopped over by my house. That would be great. But at the same time, it's like, that takes such an incredible amount of time that could be used for other things. And so the question is got to be, is it worth it? And in this case, it wasn't. And we had to shut them down. And it's like, no, look, there's 100 different ways to deal with us. This isn't one of them.
Yeah. It's something that you really want to connect with your customer and you feel, their pain and their struggles with something. So you want to help them as much as you can, but you don't want to set a precedent that you can't continue on. You want to let them know that, hey, this is how it's done. This is how the insurance is done. And I think you can do it this way. But if you can't, then, I understand, but I can't alter it for you.
Yeah, exactly. Very similarly, we just had somebody who wanted a life insurance quote, and they live, over an hour away, and wanted me to come out. They wanted me to come out on Friday night, and I was not available, and so then they suggested Saturday morning, and I'm sitting there looking up like where they live, and I'm like, wait, no, I'm never going to be available for this one. This was, going to be a rinky-dink policy if it issued at all. It was very unlikely that they were even going to buy, and they really got angry at me over that. But it's like there wasn't really any concept of, hey, Paul's going to have to drive an hour out here to spend an hour with us and drive an hour back. That's a huge chunk of the workday when we could do this over the phone. Instead they really wanted me in person, and so they were making demands on my time, but I wasn't willing to give them.
And that's maybe they're thinking, well, we can find somebody else who will. And you know what? If you find a young agency that's starving for a business, they may do that.
Yeah.
But you can't expect that that's the norm, and that's the way things are, and then everybody has to do it. It's just not the right way.
Yeah, and don't expect that agency, if they do it the first time, to keep it up.
Right.
Because hopefully that agency's growing. Hopefully they're gaining more customers, and hopefully they're getting busier and busier and busier, where there's a lot more demands on their time, and they can't just, they're not just sitting there desperately hoping somebody buys something, but they've actually got some business, because at some point they're going to start saying no. and
yeah,
you're going to get pissed about that, but that's the way it is. When you're making really extreme demands on other people, even if they say okay the first time, it's probably not going to be a long-term thing.
Right. Yeah. If you go into a restaurant and it's kind of dead, and the owner comes out and sits with you and says, how was your meal? And he has a nice conversation, and you get to know each other, and he's like, yeah, I'm trying to get this going. Whenever they get really busy and it's a 30-minute wait to get in there, he's probably not going to be able to sit down with you and have a conversation.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah. That's out of the window. He just can't sustain that.
So anyways, well, we really appreciate you joining us today. I'll say what would be a good use of your time is going over to our website. We have quite a few resources there that's going to be helpful to you at itscovered.net. You can pick and choose what you want to deal with. Our Facebook group, I'll put a link in the description. Facebook is great because it kind of lets you engage when you want to, or, after you get addicted and spend all day on it, playing Farmville and, Mafia Wars and all the other good stuff that happened years and years and years ago. Are there big Facebook games going on right now? Why am I asking you? You're not even on Facebook.
That's right. I was going to ask him, if you're really bad at time management, come on down and be a part of our studio audience.
Right. Oh, yeah. I question every week whether this is a good use of our time, but no, this is stuff we really, really do enjoy, and we really like engaging with y'all on these topics. And so, I think it helps make all of us better. And so, please do stop by, the Facebook group or the website and say hello. Please do share it with a friend, and we will catch you next time.
Bye-bye.